everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well. Today we're going to be reading some fun Christmassy books because it's Christmas. I am a massive Christmas fan. I admit I love Christmas, love the whole season, I get very into it. So I thought it'd be a fun video to kind of read some of my Christmassy reads, quite a few of them. I've been meaning to read for a while now and I try and save them for Christmas time, so I'm actually going to be reading them instead of remembering that I was supposed to read the Christmassy books in January. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first book I read is The Christmas Appeal by Janice Hallett. This is kind of a follow-up, an optional sequel, I suppose, to The Appeal, which I read a couple months ago. And I love that book. That was a 5-star. It's kind of a multimedia book that focuses on an amateur acting group who perform plays, and there's a mystery and a murder that happens, and we follow 2 law students who are kind of trying to unravel all of that mystery through emails and texts and, you know, newspaper clippings and that kind of stuff. So this follows the same format. It has like all the multimedia elements as well. I don't think I need to show you, but it has all the same multimedia elements, but it just fell a bit flat for me. It ended up being a 4-star, and that was a generous 4-star. The Christmas Appeal follows the 2 families who are kind of vying for the top spot in the community hierarchy after the top family is out after the first book. So we're kind of seeing them kind of go back and forth. I enjoyed that a little bit, but I didn't love those characters that much either. And I think it just, I don't know, it didn't feel as fun as the original. I did love, as I always do, Sarah Jane and Kevin's kind of relationship, and they're just so funny. I love like their little interactions back and forth, and Kevin's always so sassy whenever Sarah Jane asks him to do anything, and she just like orders him around and he's always like having to thank himself kind of thing, and that was pretty funny. And they had a pretty fun, I won't spoil it, but a pretty fun little storyline in this, so I enjoyed that. And I also enjoyed Joyce and her relationship with her boys. We get to explore that a little bit more in this book. But overall, yeah, it just fell flat for me a little bit, but yeah. At the end of The Appeal, I was kind of excited to read this and check in with the characters again. Not that the story needed a follow-up, but it was a little bit disappointing, mainly because, a little bit of a spoiler for this, but the main character from The Appeal, Izzy, is not in this at all. She has like 1 email, and that was really disappointing. I was really kind of excited to watch her come out of this and be addressed. She's such a main part of The Appeal, and I think until I read this without her presence, I didn't realize how much of a big impact and how much her kind of character contributed to my enjoyment of The Appeal. So I was pretty disappointed that she wasn't really in this one. The next book I'm reading is The Christmas Murder Game by Alexandra Benedict. I'm actually really excited to be reading this because I have been meaning to read this for so long. It has been on my list for ages, so I'm happy I'm actually getting around to it. This book is set at a family manor where all of the descendants of the owners are competing for the deed to the house after a relative dies. So there's kind of a game, it's like a scavenger hunt game, and they're all competing to win. So we're following Lily, who is the niece of the owner of the house. She really did not want to come because her mum committed suicide at this house on Christmas, like when she was a kid. So she did not want to come, she didn't want to be part of it, but the aunt lets her know in a letter inviting her that her mum didn't commit suicide, it was murder, and that she will find out all the answers if she wins the competition. So that is what's going on. It's a bit of a, locked room mystery, a bit of a silly kind of fun, campy mystery. So I'm about halfway through and I'm enjoying it. I'm listening to the audiobook and it's fun kind of seeing the cousins fighting against each other, and there's a lot of conflict between this generation. So it's fun seeing that, as well as kind of not the host, but it was like a staff member of the aunt is hosting it, and she's pretty funny. She just like does not like what's going on and she's sassing them, and that's pretty entertaining. The narrator is great as well for the audiobook. She does like all the little different English accents. They're all from Yorkshire, so it's very fun. But I'm enjoying that so far. It's not anything crazy. I'm not wowed by it. I read like a really great manor locked room Christmas mystery before, and this is reminding me of a little bit, and it's just, I think it's throwing me off a bit because it's falling flat compared to that. So I'm trying not to compare them, but I am enjoying it so far, and it's a fun listen on audiobook. But I think if I was reading it in a book, I don't think I would enjoy it as much. So alright, I have finished The Christmas Murder Game and I am giving this 2 stars. I wish I loved it. I wanted to love it, but I just didn't. I found it pretty disappointing, which is unfortunate because I've been looking forward to this for a while. But it had an interesting plot, and there was a lot of twists and turns, which was a lot of fun. But in the end, it didn't gel with me. So there were, as I said, great plot twists. It was kind of go, 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 and I enjoyed that aspect and the kind of following the like murder mystery game. That was fun. The characters were really well developed, and I enjoyed that. And I think if they hadn't been as fleshed out, the plot twists kind of wouldn't have landed as well. So I'm glad that they did that. Especially because there was quite a few characters, so having all of them fleshed out was pretty cool. But I kind of found the ending a bit rushed. It just kind of came out of nowhere, and I think it could have used a bit more planning. It started good, but then they just kept trying to throw stuff in, and it was with a lot of characters that we just hadn't really spoken to very much or met very much. So I was a bit disappointed by that. As well, the main character was just kind of going through a lot, and she was just a bit sad and mopey, and it was just a bit annoying, to be honest. I feel for her and all, but it was like she just didn't care, and I just didn't like her very much. She just seemed like she needed a hug and a cup of tea and just like send her away, but the whole time she's there and she's just kind of moping around, she was a bit soft. She's always just kind of down on herself, and that sucked. And then as well, the author tried to do a lot with her sexuality and with the sexuality of other characters, and kind of make like the bisexuality and the coming out really a part of the story and an important kind of aspect of the character, but it just felt like dropped in there. Like, one, I don't think they set up the story with it at all, and so there just wasn't space for it. It was just really awkward, very specific digs from like other characters, or just like bringing it up and having very like staged kind of, you know, defensive paragraphs, which was just annoying. It was just so out of nowhere and just completely disrupted the flow. And then as well, it's like we are in the character's head, we can hear what they're struggling with. This is not one of the things that they're thinking about or dealing with right now, and then it just kept kind of being thrown in like, oh yeah, by the way, this also sucks. It really sucks that this is going on. Yeah, and I just didn't love that. It was so random, and I just wished that it would have been a cool thing to explore, but I just don't think they did it properly. It felt very much like an afterthought, and then they just kind of coupled off some other characters, and that was just strange. So yeah, I didn't love this. It was a 2-star, and yeah, sad to say. The next book I read was Murder on the Christmas Express by Alexandra Benedict. I am giving this like 3 stars, generously. I really enjoyed it to begin with. We're following Roz, who is just retiring from the police force. She is getting onto a train, like a sleeper train, from London up to Edinburgh for Christmas, and she is meeting her daughter, who is like in labour. So she's trying to get home for that. And then we have a whole kind of cast of other characters who are, you know, rushing home for Christmas for the same reasons. I think it's like a Christmas Eve, so like the 23rd of December, it's going back. So it's really fun, kind of locked room mystery. It's set up really nicely. We have all these characters, and then, you know, the train's going along, and then there's a snowstorm and they get stuck. So it's a bit of a locked room mystery because, you know, they're all stuck together in this train, and then the train gets stuck by the weather, so they're all stuck there. And then murders start happening, and then Roz kind of takes over and takes charge because she's a police officer, or just recently retired police officer. So it was quite fun getting to see her character getting to be a police officer again. It's not really clear how recently she retired, but it seems pretty recent, but you can tell that she clearly misses it, so it was fun to get to see her do that again. But it kind of reminded me of the Christmas Murder Game because it just felt like it was trying to do too much. It follows a lot of domestic violence, both Roz, and then it's a big part of the murder mystery that happens on the train with a bunch of different characters, and it was done better than the Christmas Murder Game, but I just feel like it needed its own book. It just seemed like the author was trying to do way too much in such a short period of time, and with the whole like Christmas guys, it just, I don't know, maybe it's just my expectations that I'm going into these things gonna be like a fun, cozy, Christmassy murder mystery, but it just feels like, I don't know, it doesn't mesh very well, and it seems like the author kind of changes their mind halfway through and is wanting to do like a Christmassy locked room mystery. It's going to be a bit like Murder on the Orient Express, and then we're throwing in these really heavy topics, which I'm definitely not saying there's not space for them. Like, they're very important and it's great to read stories about that, but it just doesn't feel like it was done justice, if that makes sense. This was a lot better written than the Christmas Murder Game, and it does seem like the author kind of, you know, was trying harder with this, but yeah, I didn't feel like it was done justice. So that was unfortunate because I was really enjoying it. It is, I listened to the audiobook and it was narrated by a Scottish, voice actor, so that was a lot of fun to hear the different Scottish accents, and it was just a pleasant little read. But it was a shame with that because it could have gone a really interesting place, and I think it tried to. I just the makings of it were there, it just didn't quite hit as hard as it could have. But overall it was an interesting mystery. There was lots of twists and turns. There's a lot of kind of connections between the characters which we find out as the story goes on, which is pretty fun. And then as well there's very different characters, which I think is cool. So we have like an influencer, we have students, teacher, there's a lot of different relationships, which I think was pretty cool. But yeah, overall it was a bit disappointing, so that's a shame, but I'm still glad I read it. The next book I'm reading is Death and Papa Noel by Ian Moore. This is a Christmassy novella in the Folly Valley mystery series. I recently finished all the novels in this series and I only have this and the other novella left, so I'm very excited to read this. I meant to read it last Christmas, but completely time got away from me, so I'm very excited to jump into this. In this one, we're following Richard, who is looking forward to a quiet Christmas with no guests at his B&B and is just going to enjoy his classic movies, when Valerie storms in and ruins his whole plan, as if we were at all surprised that happened. So she invites him to this Christmas murder mystery game, which he was supposed to go to, and we find out that it's more than a game, there's actual murder. So the two of them are trying to figure everything out, as they always do. So I'm excited to jump into this one, and I will let you guys know when I have an update. I have finished Death and Papa Noel and I am giving it 4.5 stars. This is my lowest rated of the Folly Valley mysteries, but I think a lot of that is just because it's so short. It was a really interesting mystery and very well set up, kind of very out there, very camp, a little bit crazy, but yeah, I think it just was a little bit short for me, but the ending was great, there was a lot of twists, so it was still a very engaging mystery. But I think because Valerie was kind of on a different side than Richard. Obviously we're not strangers to Valerie kind of doing her own thing and keeping Richard in the dark, but usually, I don't know, she's not necessarily a perpetrator, whereas with this, she kind of made this whole elaborate game, and then he's just kind of participating. So yeah, I hadn't really realized that this Christmas murder mystery game that Valerie was invited to was actually Valerie doing it. So that was fun. So she turns up at Richard's house and just all these people start arriving and she gives him this tiny Papa Noel costume and he has to squeeze into it. We do get to see Martin and Jenny, which is always a lot of fun, and they come dressed as BDSM half-naked elves, so that's highly entertaining because there's all these French upper class people who are what is going on? So that's always fun. I did really enjoy it. I will say Madame Tablier was missed. I do love her character and it was a little strange not having her kind of temperamental character around, especially with so many people there. I couldn't help but imagining kind of what she'd be saying, so I did miss her. And then as well, this was the first one of these that I have physically read, rather than just listening to the audiobook. I wasn't able to find the audiobook. But Ian Moore, the author, does all the audiobooks and I really missed it. It still went pretty quickly, but it was not the same. I love the audiobook, so I missed out on that. And then as well, just having to pronounce the French names on my own was very difficult and made me appreciate Mr. Moore's narration far more, so yeah. The last book I'll be reading is Dahlia Decks the Halls by Katie Watson, which is set after the first book in the Dahlia universe, The Three Dahlias. So the three Dahlias are all together for Christmas Eve when they receive a suspicious package which has an unfinished manuscript of a Dahlia story. So the three of them were kind of working together to solve the mystery of who sent them this manuscript, and then as well figuring out what the ending was and who was the murderer. So I'm excited to jump into this. I really enjoy the three Dahlias and I've been kind of missing these characters, so I'm looking forward to jumping back in. I'll let you guys know how it goes. Alright, I have finished Dahlia Decks the Halls and I'm giving it 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed this. It was a great, again, little addition to the Three Dahlias story. It was quite fun getting to see the Three Dahlias all together and just kind of getting along. After the first book, we kind of only end up seeing them all kind of happy and friends at the very end, so it was fun to kind of explore that a little bit more. And then as well, we see a lot of Johnny and Dahlia, like the actual character, because the Three Dahlias, the actresses, have been reading this manuscript, so we actually get to read the manuscript ourselves, and it was a lot of fun getting to see those two characters that this whole like lore is based off of actually interacting. Like Johnny is the detective and he's much more facts focused, whereas Dahlia kind of looks at everyone and is observing, and she kind of goes off, I don't want to say vibes more, but kind of figures things out based on what she observes in people's behaviour, and they both kind of think that their way's best, and Dahlia wins out in this one, but it was quite fun seeing them together and their kind of chemistry. And then as well, we got to see Caro and her wife. They were hosting this like Christmas gathering, and it was so much fun because it was told from Caro's wife's perspective, and her just kind of being happy for Caro that she has these friends and that she's not like competing with them, and that the amount of growth she's done. It was just really beautiful to see that kind of tender moment from her wife, so I really enjoyed that. The last Christmassy book I'm going to be reading is Murder Most Royal by S.J. Bennett. This is the third book in the Her Majesty the Queen Investigate series, which is exactly what it sounds like. It follows the Queen, and she is solving crimes, basically. So she kind of has a little like dancing puppets kind of thing where she lightly solves mysteries, kind of points people in the right direction, but no one ever suspects her because she's the Queen. It's always a fun read. So in this one, the Queen is off for Christmas. She's gone to her country house, and there is a hand found on like the beach nearby. So they're investigating this hand and figuring out who it is and what's going on with that. And so the Queen's just kind of pulling strings and pointing people in the right direction. So far it's been pretty interesting. I'm about a third of the way through, so I'll definitely give you guys another update when more stuff happens, but I'm really enjoying it so far. It's always interesting kind of watching the Queen. She kind of points her assistant secretary just off in the right direction, and she goes and follows up the lead, so that's always fun to see. But this one's fun because we're not at Buckingham Palace, we're like in the countryside where all the families around where the Queen is, they've been there for ages, and we're kind of getting to see how they interact and, you know, peering behind the curtain a bit, which I always like about these books. But yeah, I'll give you guys an update when I read a bit more. Just first off, little disclaimer, I apologise for the different background, like jarring. I lost the other clip. I have finished Murder Most Royal by S.J. Bennett, and I'm giving it 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed this. It is a little bit kind of a slower mystery. I think as well this is the first one in the series that I've read physically instead of listening to the audiobook. But I did really enjoy it. It's always fun watching the Queen kind of go about and solving her mysteries, and we're kind of seeing her relationship with her secretary that's helping her with these mysteries deepen, and it was also a lot of fun kind of being in Sandringham where they're not like in Buckingham Palace in London with all the hustle and bustle. So it was fun. The Queen kind of gets to just chill a bit more. She gets to go out on her own to the country and all that kind of stuff. So I enjoyed that aspect a lot. But yeah, I think I will continue with the series. I kind of wish that I wasn't because I'm trying to get rid of my series that I'm reading, but I do enjoy it, and yeah, I think it was a fun read. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video and are getting into the Christmas spirit. Let me know what your guys' favourite Christmassy reads are in the comments below. If you like this video and want to see more from me, hit like and subscribe, and you can check out my Bookstagram and Goodreads at the links below. I hope to see you guys in another video soon. Merry Christmas!